ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। हरि ओम्. So, in the last 3 classes, we have seen the preamble and the settings under which the dialogue between Nachiketa and Yama is taking place. Just a quick recapture. Nachiketa's father was doing the Vishwajit Yaga. He was giving all his wealth and everything. So the son goes and asks the father, "Whom are you going to give me to?" And pestered by the son, the father says, "I am going to give you to death." And that makes Nachiketa to land in front of Yamadeva, or Lord of Death, palace. And he was incidentally not there. So for 3 days, Nachiketa, without entering the palace, he was waiting outside without food and water. So when he comes back, Yamadeva's Ratni says that Tejasvi Brahmana boy is there waiting outside for you. Last 3 days he has not taken anything. For each day he can, bring all calamity if you don't respect him and bring him into the palace and bring water. And so Yama does all the required welcoming for Nachiketa, and then says that since you are there waiting for me last 3 days, you can ask 3 boons from me, and I'll be glad to give you the same, whatever is your desire. So the first desire which Nachiketa asked was that when I go back, my father should not have anger on me, and I should be looking the same, and my father should not have any misunderstanding. He should be able to forgive me and accept me. Which Yamadeva says, yes, that boon is granted. Your father will have a good night's sleep, and he will be fresh and without any anger when you wake up, and you will be seen in the same form. In the philosophical implication of this boon is that this is, as per some of the commentators saying that this is what is indicated here is the Jivan Mukta's return to the world for Vyavahara. That appearance-wise he may look the same, but what has changed is his knowledge. Here also Nachiketa get the knowledge from the master himself, the Lord of Death. And the second boon what he asked was, he wanted to know what is that Agni Upasana, Panchagni Upasana, which takes people to Swargaloka, and what is the methodology. So as a ritual Upasana part, Yamadeva explains that, and pleased with the way in which Nachiketa absorbed that instruction completely and repeated it, Yama was so happy that he said that from today onwards, this Agni will be known as Nachiketa Agni for everyone who is doing this Agni Yajna. And he also gave a necklace made of different colored gems. And then he asked Nachiketa to ask the third boon. And in the third boon, Nachiketa stumps Yama by a question which he never expected from a teenager boy to ask such a question. The third question which Nachiketa asks is that, I hear that some people say that after death there is something left which is traveling, going out of the body. Some say there is nothing. With the end of the death everything is over. Can you appraise me? Can you educate me on the truth between the two statements? Which is right, which is wrong? And if it is which is right, tell me what it is. Yama, this is the secret of the secrets which only Lord Death knows. And even the other devas and the Swargaloka Vasi who are residing in Swargaloka, they are not knowing this fact. So if this has to be exposed to Nachiketa, which is very subtle in nature, the education or the Vidya itself is in subtle in nature, and to test whether Nachiketa is a potential candidate for it, Yamadeva offers him multitude of things, like he can be the king of the world, he can have the biggest palace in the world, he can have the wishful anything what he wishes in the form of material like horse, cattle, chariots, elephants, or gold. Whatever he wants, he can desire, it can be given. Then when he rejects that, then Yama understands that he is not going to get a easy candidate for this one. So he starts offering celestial offerings like Gandharvas and the pleasures which you get in Swarga. You don't have to go to Swarga for that. I'll make all of them servants for you, and you can be in your palace. You can still have that, the musicians and dancers and apsaras and all. Even for which Nachiketa says, no, I am not interested in any of your, you keep it to yourself. I want to know what is the truth between what happens when a person dies. I am not going to settle for anything less. This is the condition where we completed in the last class. Now, in the second Valli, the dialogue starts in the form of, again, between Yamadeva and Nachiketa. But Yamadeva is the first one who is starting. He has understood the qualities of the student Nachiketa. So till the 14th verse, it is a appreciation. First half is the appreciation of the student by the teacher, and the second half is the appreciation of the teacher by the student. And from the 15th verse only, the philosophical dialogues start. So we will try to see whether we can cover as much as possible so that we can reach the philosophical verses as early as possible. But we should at the same time not miss out anything important in these verses, because these are all prerequisites for every one of us who is wanting to know the highest truth of the spiritual realm. So I'm not going to skip any portion where it needs explanation. So let us see how much we can cover today. So the first mantra is Anyat Shreyo Anyat Udo Vai Preyaha Te Ube Nanarte Purushagum Sinita Tayo Shreya Adadanasya Sadhu Bhavati Hyate Arthadya U Preyo Vrinite. I'll read the prose order with the meaning. Shreyaha Anyat. One path is called Shreyas. Uta, the second one is called Preya. Etat is separately, totally different from that. That is Eva Anyat. So it is totally different from Shreyas, which clearly says that these two paths cannot be followed simultaneously. Te Ube Nanartha Sinita Purusham. These two with different destinations binds a person in the world, because these are the two paths anybody can take. There are no natridiyam asti. There is no third method in which you can pursue your life in this world. Either it has to be the Shreya Marga or it has to be in the Preya Marga. Adadanasya Shreyaha Tayoho Yah Vrinite. These felicities of Shreya, one who chooses Shreya between the two, and then the other is one which Preya is used, is that Uhiyate is indeed deprived of the supreme good. So here in this verse, Yama says that the one who Shreya, following the Shreyas Marga, is the one who is towards that the spiritual goal, whereas the Preya, which is in the is pleasurable, is followed by the other people who are not into the spiritual path, and they are missing out the supreme goal. The total meaning is the Shreyas is one path which is leading for the spiritual progress, and Prayas is the path which is taking you away from the spiritual goal. Now, Shreyas is a methodology or the process of living in the world where your goal is to know the truth of life, your own reality, reality of the nature, reality of everything. In that case, what happens is that, as Bhagavad Gita says, Yastadagre Vishamiva Pariname Abhrudopamam. That is the situation of Shreyas. In the initial hardship, for those who are following the spiritual path, it will be like taking poison. It will be tormenting them with all doubts and not knowing the truth, not getting the right teacher, not getting the right knowledge. You may pursue so many hardships, upasana, yajna, pranayama, meditation, anything which you can do that. It is all may appear to be giving torture to the body or the mind. But then there is the other one which is called prayers, which is pleasurable and enjoyable, which most of the people take because the gratification is instant and your result is also instant. So what happens is that those who are following the Praya Marga are the one who are looking for the wealth, prosperity, name, fame, and position in the society. They will be only looking for methods for them and the method to acquire and aggrandize those things. But the one who is following the Shreyas Marga, he will be not attracted towards these momentary pleasures, but his mind will be always in the realm of the spiritual inquiry. Shreyascha preyascha manushya metaha tau samparitye vivinakti dhira shreyo hi dhiro abhipreyaso vrinite preyo mando yoga kshema vrinite. Shreyascha preyascha, Shreyas and prayers. Etah manushyam, approach the human being samparitye, having clearly considered them. The human being should approach both Shreyas and prayers. Now here is the definition given for dhira. Dhira is a person supposed to be discriminative in nature. We have the typical Indian language, we consider dhira is one who is courageous. Whereas in the spiritual path, dhira is not a person who is courageous. Shankaracharya in his Bhashya says dhiraha means dhimantaha, one who has very clear mind for making the discriminative choices between what is good and what is pleasurable, between the Shreyas and prayers. And Vivinakti means distinguishes between the two. Such a discriminative person, he dhiraha, abhivranete shreyaha. Such a person who is dhiraha, dhimantaha, who is intellectually sharp and able to have proper distinction between nitya, nitya vastu viveka, what is permanent, what is impermanent, what is satya, what is asatya. All these distinctive differentiation he can make, and such a person chooses the path of Shreyas. Other than that, other people who are manda buddhi, yoga kshemam, who is interested in only yoga kshemam, that is, yoga means to acquire things, kshema is to maintain what you have acquired. So in that, the people who are following the prayers path will be interested and immersed in that, either to acquire things or maintaining the things which they have acquired. So from these 2 points, we can see that the methodology of Shreya and Preya are totally diverse in nature. You cannot have both in our life together. There are people who are advocating that, oh, it's okay, you can have you can have all what is the thing as long as you don't have an attachment towards that. It is for a aspirant or for a seeker, it will not work because the temptations of the objects of the world is so strong that even a dhira who has a discrimination can get momentarily enchanted by the attraction of the objects of the world, and he may lose that discriminative power, which has been told by uh, Krishna in the Gita second chapter. Sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krodho vijayate, kodat bhavati sammoha, sammodat smriti bhramsha. Smriti bhramsha buddhinasha, buddhinasha pranashyati. So it is very, very difficult to tread the path of Shreya with prayers along with it. As the commentators say, they are traveling towards north and south. They can never meet together, or they can never travel together. So only one has to decide which is your path of travel and which is what you should shun totally. So knowing the difference between the path of Shreyas and path of prayers, the Dhimandaha or Dhiraha, the one who is discriminate, have got higher levels of discrimination, he will choose the path of Shreyas. And then such a person is considered to be very, what you call, Dhimandaha, in the sense that will always be established in his intellectual aspect of analyzing the events of life. Here is one thing we have to amend, that such a person will be always aware of all the actions, every momentum, bodham prati bodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate. That in another Upanishad it says that. So a person who is in the path of Shreya can never take out his eyes from the every momentary action what he is doing, because whether he is missing out something or he is falling prey to the attraction of the worldly objects. So that attention or the alertness which a dhimanta should have is also equally important. Not that you have the discriminative aspect of what is satya asatya, nitya anitya. That difference alone is not enough. You also should be alert to know that whether you are missing out and you are falling prey for the attraction of the world. Sattvam priyan priyad rupa swakaman avidhyayan nachiketo atya sarakshi naita sringam vittamayi mavahatva yasyam majjanti bahavo manushya. He Nachiketa, Abhidhyayan, having considered Priyan, pleasing, Cha Priya Rupan, and attractive. Not only pleasing in enjoyment, they also look Priya Rupa, with attraction also. Kaman, sense objects, Sahatvam Atyad Srakshi. You discarded them, because when Yamadeva offered all that, that gold, that necklace, Nachiketa did not accept it. He said, you keep it yourself. I don't want your gold. I don't want the long life. I don't want the dancers. I don't want the apsaras. I don't want the kingdom. I don't want the horses. Everything, you keep it yourself. So here he is saying, oh, Nachiketa, you have discarded all of them, which is Priyan and Priya Rupan and Kaman. So, you na avapta, you did not accept it. Etam vittamiyam, this precious srikham, srik means mala or the necklace. That also you have not taken it. Yasyam bahava manushyaha majjanti, because people are, dreaming or wanting to get such adulations and recommendations and enjoyments and pleasures from the world. But Nachiketa, You are a student, you know, beyond comparison. I have not seen any apt student or an apt person who is inquiring into that, who is not even attracted by long life, chirakalam. Even that offer from this Yama was that you will live as long as you wish with all your sense organs intact without aging that. So, but Nachiketa said at that time, whatever may be that, it is within the realm of the time. So, Ayur Nashyati Pashyatam Anudinam. So, we see that, the age is eating into every capacity of our sense organs, and no object of happiness can ever be permanent in nature, because the object may remain the same, but my capacity to enjoy the sense organs comes down. Knowing all these things, Nachiketa very clearly told the Yama that I am not interested in all these things because they are all limited in time. So they also have a end date. So I don't want things which have got an expiry date. I want to know what is that which doesn't have an expiry date. So this is what Nachiketa told. So Yamadeva is repeating that from for that. Nachiketa, you did not accept this necklace which people are dying to get, and you have also rejected the pleasing, the attractive, and pleasurable things from within. So you are a very apt student. Duramete viparite vishuchi avidya yacha vediti jnara vidyabhipsinam nachiketasam manye natva kama bahavo alolupante, right? So here in the fourth verse on that valley, he is saying that ete vishasuchi, these diverse courses means separate direction of shreyas and prayer. Yat jnata, the one which are known, iti avidya, as ignorance cha vidya, and knowledge. So the Preya and Shreya. Preya is known as a path of ignorance, and Shreya is known as the path of Vidya. So why it is Vidya and Avidya? Avidya is because you are enchanted or attracted by the appearances of Priya Rupan, appearances of the sense objects from the world, and one do not discriminate it is whether it is a nitya or anitya, whether it is permanent or perishable. But even knowing very well it is perishable, people get attracted to that and they waste their life without following the path of vidya, which is toward the Shreyas. And the path of Shreyas is that of knowledge, where the Dhimandaha, the Dhiraha, is one which is analyzing every action, whether it is an object of sense organ or sensory pleasure, is camouflaging and appearing as not of that sensory organ. Duram viparite manye nachiketasam. I consider, Nachiketa, you are divergent in the nature and seeking the knowledge. Vidyabhipsinam. Vidyabhipsinam means the seeker of knowledge. Bahava kamaha na alolupanda twa. Twa, by you have not accepted, you were not attracted by the bahava kamaha. I offered everything that is possible for a human being to get tempted, and you are not attracted by that, and you have rejected all of them. So I can see that you are a vidya bhipsinam, that is, you are a seeker of knowledge, walking the path of vidya. So I am very pleased with your approach in knowing these things, the truth about what you have asked for. Vidyayamandare vartamanaha swayam dhiraha pandidam manyamanaha dandramyamana pariyanti muda andoneva niyamana yadanta. Now, this is a very famous quotation in most of the places you will find. Andhena niyamana yadanta. like the blind leading the blind. The mantra says, Andare Vartamana, steeped in the avidyayam, in the ignorance, Manyamana Swayam Dhiraha. They consider themselves as, Panditam. They think that they are Pandita, but they are all avidyayam Vartamana, Andare Vartamana. They are immersed in the ignorance, but they think they are Panditas. And he calls them as Modaha, means the deluded one. Pariyanti Dandramyamana, wandering all over the, in the world for acquiring things and doing things which are not the Shreyas Marga, but in the Preyas Marga, but they think themselves they are in the Shreyas Marga. This is what way that knowledge, Dhimantaha, Dhiraha aspect is being again brought in an indirect way. Even though he may be a Pandita, with the Pandityam, all the knowledge of what the Shastras or the masters are telling, yet if he is not able to differentiate between the using his buddhi to dissect between the Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka, and such a person, if he is moving around in the world talking about all those things, but in his own action he is not applying that, such a person should be considered as not the person whom you should follow. We can say that he is a person like Andena Niyamana Anda. He is not a person who has the right vision to guide you and take you to the path of Shreyas. He will be like a blind man leading another blind man, both of them suffering in the entire process, not knowing how to do to himself. So here is that what the indirect meaning which is being very clearly brought in by the commentators, that the teacher of a caliber should be Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So the Shrotriya need not be a Brahmanishta, one who knows the Shastras but do not reside or do not practice what is being told in the Shastras. He may be called a Pandita, but if he is not knowing to take the path of Shreyas, but he is following the path of Preyas for his name, fame, and the size of the ashram or the size of the followers, all those things are taking him away from his Shreyas Marga. So they may be called the Panditas in the what you call in a robe of a Muda. The Pandita robe, actually they are Muda in reality. They do not know what is the reality, and such people should be treated as Andha, means blind. They don't know, and you should not follow such people who are blindly leading you to anything. So I think we can cover the first more than today. Yeah. Na samparaya pradibhadi balam pramadyandam vittamohena mutam ayam loko nasti para idimani punah punah shamapadyande me. So in this verse, the spiritual discipline is not appeal to the indiscriminate, negligent one who is deluded due to his infatuation or the attraction towards the sense objects and the worldly objects. The world alone is there, none beyond. That is the standard statement of the what you call Charvakas. They think this body is the reality. The world, the sense organs, what is the world is to eat, sleep, and marry and live like that. This is what their be all and end all of life. Such people will come under my grip again and again, is what Yama says. That Samparaya means scriptural discipline, na pradibadi. Do not appeal to Balam. Here it means to indiscriminate or Muda. Pramadhyandam, negligent Mudam, the one who is deluded by the pramada of the discriminative power between what is told in the scriptural textbooks for following. Vittamohena, due to the infatuation for worldly pleasures and objects, Ayam loka asti na paraha. So those people make the statement that this world is only real. There is no world beyond. And for them, they don't see anything beyond. Te apadyande me vasham punah punah. Such people come to the jaws of death again and again, not realizing what is the foolishness they are doing it. So here is again the instruction from Yamadeva saying that the discriminative power for us to know what is Shreya, what is Freya is very important in the spiritual path. And if we do not make the discrimination, even if you have all the scriptural knowledge in the world, and if you are not abiding by the Brahmanishta, you know what preachers should be practiced. If that doesn't happen, and you are not a Brahmanishta, you are getting deluded by the wealth of the world. And such people will come again and again into my clutches, or they will go from birth to death, death to birth again and again. श्रवणायापि बहुभिर्यो न लभ्यः श्रवणेन्दोऽपि बहवो न यं न विद्युः आश्चर्यवक्ता कुशलोऽस्य लब्धा आश्चर्यो जाता कुशलोऽनुशिष्टा. Now, here is a hint to what is going to come in the following teaching. A hint is being given by Yama here. Yaha means here he is indicating to that Atma. Na labhyaha is not available. Api shravanaya, even for listening, bahubhihi, for many. In our world today, we see that the path of spiritual path is still not even attracting, I won't say even 0.5% of the population of the world. So bahubhi shravana, even for the hearing about the path or the spiritual progress, knowing what is spirituality or the philosophy of life, people are not interested because so much engrossed in their sensual and gratification. They don't even want to listen to what is about this truth about the life. Then there are the other people, api shrunnuvantaha, in spite of listening, bahava na vidiyuhu. Even some people, there will be people who are going regularly to all satsanga, sitting there. When the moment the lecture starts, they will go into a dream world or a sleep, and they will be snoring, or they'll be in the manorajya, where they will be dreaming something. What is being taught will not be. Even so, they will not. Api shrunnuvantaha api bahava na vidyu. They do not even come to know what is being told, and they don't understand. Even if assuming that they are listening, that required quality, unless you walk through the Shreyas Marga by the discrimination, that what you words which you listen from the teacher who is explaining the Shastra, that need not enter your understanding. So normally there are three defects in hearing. What they call it as Ajnana Samshaya Viparya. Ajnana is what you are told about Atma and all, but yet you do not know what it is. Basically, I mean, it is a sound only. Shabda matra. You don't know what is the Shabda Artha. You don't know the meaning of the word. Then what happens? So of course you understand that yes, he is talking about some aspect of my nature. That knowledge you get it. Then you will think that he is talking about my intellect or my ego. That is what is called samshaya. Whether he is talking about me or my body or my intellect or what is he talking about? Who is this Atma that I am hearing about? That it's out of a doubt will come. Then Vipadhyaya is the people who convince themselves that yes, what is being told is something who is abroad, like a Brahma is a person who is sitting in the skies and controlling the whole world, Ishvara, and that is Vipadhyaya, totally different meaning of what is being told in the Shastra. So this samshaya, ajnana samshaya viparyaya is the case of the people who are shrunvantaha api na vidayu. They do not know it. Yam, this Atma, Vakta, one who reveals, Ascharya Labda Asya. The Vakta, the one who reveals about Atma, is a wonder. Labda Asya, the one who discovers this, Kushalaha, in as a wonder, Kushalanushishta, instructed by a spiritual master, Jnata, the one who knows Atma, Ascharya is totally is a wonder, in the sense that the one who really understands what is being told, for he should be such a blessed soul that he gets an acharya who is Shostriyam Brahmanishtam. He is the one acharya who has not only that scriptural knowledge, but he is talking from having understood it 100% from his own experiences. When his experience talks about such knowledge, it has a unknown weightage, which you can call it as a wonder. Is ascharyavat paschati kaschidayanam. So that you know that loaded with knowledge, when experiential knowledge, when an acharya talks, such a person is also kushala nishta. He is also not only having the knowledge about, he is established in that, and he is talking from that status of experiential knowledge when he is taught. Jnata, one who knows, he himself is an ascharya. Such a person to get is itself is a wonder. So here is a glimpse of what is in store for us in the Kathopanishad to come. We are talking about a adbhudam, or a wonder which is not available for ordinary people. Millions of people are not even aware of such path is available. Even after the few million or few thousands who listen to that availability of the path, the methodology and everything, for him to get a acharya who is able to talk it from his personal experience, which carries the conviction, to pass on the conviction by educating the shishya will feel the wonder in the statement. It is not just by weight of the word, it has got the experiential aspect which is conveyed through the words of such a acharya. And to get such an acharya is itself is a what you call a wonder, or is a very rare even to even imagine it. Navarena narena navarena prokta yesha suvitneyo bahuda chindyamanaha ananya prokto gadiratra nasti aniyan hyadavarta mum pramanat. Yeshaha means is referring to about the Atma. Chindyamanaha is even imagined. Bahuda, by various thinkers, they have thought about the Atma as different. And Prokta means when it is revealed by the Acharya, avarena narena, by an incompetent person. Avarena narena. Narena means person. Avarena narena means incompetent person. Na suvitneha, it cannot be understood clearly. So when a person talks about these historical or experiential things, if there is no weightage or no conviction in his statements, it cannot be understood. Na suvitneyaha. And who is such a person talking? Avarena narena. Such a person who has no conviction to what he is talking, even though Bahuda Chindyamana, he has also done a lot of studies. He has done a lot of introspection himself, but it has not become his conviction. So a person for whom it has become a conviction can only convey things in by words with conviction. So actually, when he's talking through his words, he's not talking the words or the meaning of the word, but he's also sharing his conviction to the listener. So that is the important part. Ananya prokte, when Atma is revealed by one who is not different from it, that is the most important part. Ananya. For such as Acharya, who is Ananya from his own Atma Anubhava, Asti na agati. Asti na agati. There is no misunderstanding. Gati means understanding. Agati means misunderstanding. Asti na agati. When such a person who is a prokta ananya, atmad anyaha na atmad anyaha ananyaha. Such an acharya who is established in the truth, when he explains it, it cannot go wrong because the words will be the direct method or the methodology in which that knowledge comes to your understanding, and there is no misunderstanding. Atra hi aniyan anupramanat, about being a smaller than the size of an atom, atarkyam, and it is beyond reason. Tarkam means reasoning. Atarkyam means beyond reasoning. And he is talking about what? If you remember the statement which Yamadeva made, even Devas could not understand that this is such a subtle subject. Even Devas are not able to understand. So why are you asking me this question again and again? When he told Nachiketa, there he hinted this same meaning there. It is the truth about it is anupramana, even though with the word anupramada means it is the smallest in the size. Here it is the subtlest of the subtlest. It is the subtler than the space. So whether you can call it as an anu or not itself is a question mark. So only when such a subject is being conveyed by an acharya who is established in himself and he is none other than that Swarupa, then there is no question of misunderstanding. Atarkavyam, it beyond reasoning, or you don't have to even argue with for that. Such will be the clarity which when such a teacher explains this to you. This Atma is imagined variously by various thinkers. So different philosophy schools have addressed Atma as, in the Nyaya Vaisheshika school, they say it's in Anu, and Anu Dvigunam Trigunam. Then from the Anu comes the matter, and Atma is a Dravya for the Nyayika and Vaisheshika. For then some school of Mimamsaka, even Ishvara is not there. It is just a happening, like what mutations are keeping on happening. It's a cycle, never-ending cycle. It has never. When did it start? And when it never started. It never going to end. It will continue. That is some sort of a Mimamsa school is there. Then Prabhakara Mimamsa school has brought in certain changes in that. So different schools of thoughts in India have addressed what is Atma in their own Tarka method. Tarka means reasoning method. So the ultimate what is they are finding is in conflict with the Shastra what is being told. So only a Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam who is Ananya Prokta, he is the Atma himself who is talking to you. Only from when you hear from such a master, Gadiratra Nasti, there is no way you can you cannot have a misunderstanding about what is being taught. So we will take one more sloka and stop here today. Nesha Tarkena Matirapaneya Proktananyeva Sunetneya Preshta Yam Twamapa Satyadhritir Bhavastasi Twangthena Bhuyan Nachiketas Prashta Yesha Mati na Apaneya Tarkena. This knowledge, Yeshamati, this knowledge, na apaneya, cannot be attained, tarkena, by logic. Ho Nachiketa Preshta Prokta Anyena Eva, by someone else alone taught, Suknanaya. It doesn't come into one's comprehension. Tvam apaha, you have attained yam, that knowledge. Asti, you indeed. Satyadhriti, you are resolute one who have stead on to knowing the truth. O Nachiketa, na bhuyat, may we have prishta twadrik. Prishta means the one who questions and seekers. Tavadrik, twadrik means like you. So here Yama is concluding, giving the final praise to Nachiketa, saying that this, what I am going to tell you, cannot be known by reasoning or no any other method, and it cannot be taught by somebody else who has no knowledge about it. And you are such dedicated and resolute person who has not deviated, even though I offered you all temptations which is in the Prayas Marga. You are stuck to the Shreyas Marga, wanting to know the truth, and let there be a beautiful samvada between me and you is the indicated meaning. That Sahana Vavato Sahanau Bunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinam Aditamastu Ma Vidyushavahai. That Shanti Mantra is the most apt for concluding this shota way, saying the mantra, saying that the teacher is the best in the world. He's an Ascharya, he's a wonder. For a teacher to be a teacher, you need a competent student. Then only the teaching becomes efficient and successful. And no student can be more apt for this knowledge who other than Nachiketa, because he has thrown away everything and everything what Yamadeva has offered, including the necklace, to the long life, the enjoyments, the kingdom of the earth, and life as long as he wants with all sense organs intact. So even that, if he has rejected and he has said that I want to know only this, that means he is a prashta, he is a seeker who cannot be disturbed or he cannot be shaken, whatever may be the temptation that comes in the path of gaining the knowledge. And that is where this part of the dialogue between Nachiketa and Yama, we will stop it to her. Then next week we will take from where Nachiketa is starting his dialogues, giving praise to the Guru who is going to teach him this Atmajnana through the remaining parts of the Kathopanishad. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Arbindoji. Today, you could cover 9 mantras in the second only. That is very, very beautiful. And whoever is a seeker, actually this portion is very, very pertinent. So beautifully, you could bring out the very message of Upanishads in these 9 mantras. Basically here Yama talks about the options here. In the very beginning, in the first mantra only, he talks about 2 different options like Shreya Mattu Preya. That's wonderful. Then only because only by bringing these contrasts, people will be able to understand. In such a beautiful way, Yamaha puts it, because Yama is a great master. Because one who knows the death, he can very well, teach one who is interested in it. He tells two different things, that the Brahmajnana is entirely different. That's he put as a good one. And another aspect is like a pleasant. See, the options in our everyday life, we will get ample of opportunities to choose between these options. It's in our own experience that in day-to-day and normal mundane life also, the thing which you choose, which you are not supposed to choose, you will have a different implications and you suffer. It's in our own experience. So Yamaha chooses, and he's telling that there are two different things. One is totally a Brahmajnana. One, whoever chooses that Brahmajnana, that is Shreya. And whoever chooses the pleasant may be the wife, sons, property, wealth, everything which is not a Brahmajnana. He beautifully tells these two things in the first. And whoever chooses the good will prosper. He will become a Brahmajnani. And whoever chooses the pleasant one will be deprived of the life goal itself. That's what Yamaha tells. Both the good and the pleasant offer to a man. Yamaha is very clearly indicating that you have ample of opportunity to choose both. But the wise, upon pondering over them, discriminates, and he chooses the good one and he rejects the pleasant. But the unwise, who will choose the pleasant one, the consisting of acquisition of and preservation of the whole worldly object, and he suffers. Here he is admiring Nachiketa, because you have seen all the way how Nachiketa is investigating, how he is digging and asking the questions, and how he is able to compel even Yama to answer his questions. So he is very much pleased with the Nachiketa. He is telling that, oh Nachiketa, though you rejected these objects of pleasure and beloveds like all other things, and thoughtfully, you did not accept this chain of wealth which many men sink. He praises Nachiketa for choosing the proper, for his well thought decision, that Yamaha tempted him a lot. He offered everything is on this earth. In spite of that, Nachiketa could choose the Shreyas Marga only. So he is just appreciating his, because he differences here the widely apart of are these two, the knowledge, whatever you call jnana, and worldly object are deadly opposed to each other and leads to opposite results. This is very, very important. While Arbun Devji was telling that, especially for the seeker who is the beginner, if he is thinking that he will manage both, but definitely he will end up in something else. So each will have a different implications. So it has the opposite results. Here Nachiketa is desirous of the jnana, the knowledge. He did not, all these things did not tempt the Nachiketa. That is very, very important. But what happens, the unwise, who is absorbed in worldly things, and they themselves considers that they are the most intelligent and they are the learned, they follow the crooked ways, they rotate here only, the worldly life only, like a blind person's led by the blind person. That's what the beautifully Upanishad puts it. It's a very old, very famous, very, very popular the statement here, because it happens. We think that we are the masters, we think that we are the learned, we think that we know everything, but we deceive ourselves by choosing the crooked way, and we rotate here only. We will never gain that. So the Atman is, it will not reveal itself to a childish or careless or one who is deluded by this glamorous wealth, and such a person who thinks that there is a world only and no other world will become a prey to Yamahai. Because the Charvaka reference, what we can find here, that they think that this is the only word, it is there for enjoyment. You enjoy the life, don't think any other apart from this enjoyment. Okay, they will pray to the Lord Yamaha. They will not get that. They will not get the Atma Jnana, the Atma Tattva. Here, Arbindoji was nicely put it in this, the world. There are many, many billions of people are there. The population is there, but very few people. Nobody will get an opportunity, or nobody is interested to listen to the Atma Jnana. If many may get an opportunity to hear these things, and it is very rare, and there is no guarantee that even he will understand it properly, because the way itself is very, very subtle. Here, what is the important, the core teaching of all these things is, Upanishad is very, very clear, because it tells that the Atman is subtler than the subtle, and it's beyond logic. That is the most important. Especially the modern education, or whoever is influenced by the Western thought, they think that we will prove everything through the logic. But that is not true. We know logic is like a razor's edge. You can disprove and you can prove, neither you can prove nor you can disprove with the logic. For Atma Jnana, it is categorically mentioned in this Upanishad that logic is not going to help you. The Jnana, the Atma Jnana, it cannot be obtained by the logic, nor can it be removed by the logic. That's also very, very important. In both ways, the soul logic will not help. I think this is the most important, the Jnana, the portion of this Upanishads. I thank you, Arbindoji, for bringing out the nice aspects of all these things. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. Now we can open the forum for discussion. Rajji, I request you to open it for the question and answers.
Okay, sir.
Namaste. So I have one question.
Yes, Hari.
Yeah, it was. I mean, a wonderful the clarity what you brought with these shlokas of second valley. I'm little more interested on the sixth mantra. न साम्परायः प्रतिभाति बालं प्रमाद्यन्तं वित्तमोहेन मूढम् अयं लोको नास्ति पर इति मानि पुनः पुनर्वशमापद्यते मे. This shloka, so I would like to, I mean, give a little more, I request you to give a little more insights into this mantra. The reason is, here it is clearly said, na samparayah balam pramadyantam vittamohena modham. So he is giving all the characteristics of the students who cannot understand, and also he says ayam loko nasti paraiti. So all these people are going to get back, and I mean they'll be deprived of whatever the final truth. But if you see in current, I'm just trying to bring the the context and also the contemporary practices, because that is, I think, that is going to add value for many of the seekers and who are all really interested to get that being state. We are unfortunately we have information overload, and we have different versions, we have different perspectives, and many new theories are coming up, new approaches are coming up for achieving the same beingness. But I'll not say most, many of the modern trends they are all dropping the scriptures. They say they are all realized, but they say scriptures are not required. But here it is clearly said, Samparayaha na pratibhati. And you said also Vitta Mohena Modham. So this last class also brought this point. So when someone is trying to say that scriptures are not required, how that can be taken in today's context, and what path should someone should look into that, so that there should not be any conflict for them, because Kathopanishad is being one of the prominent Upanishad which clearly indicates what is the path for the final destination. But we also have the confusing, or I can say conflicting messages from the field who are all practicing. So how to do this samanvaya? Just I would like to throw some more light on that. Thanks a lot.
Yes, Hari, it's a wonderful point which you brought up. What happens is that all external objects other than myself, I have different sciences and methodologies which I can acquire any knowledge, whether it is material knowledge or skills or hobbies, measures, everything. We have enough of varieties and methodologies, teachers available. That is dexterity of achieving the knowledge on the external thing. You will not find any methodical, let me put within quota, the methodical way of approaching self-enquiry other than given in the Shastras. That is where the Shastra's importance lies. The truth doesn't have to be told in many words. Tattvamasi is the only word you want to know. But when you are told Tattvamasi or you are that, a person who has not understood what is, he may know the language English. You are that is very simple English. You know who you are. That also you know. That means other than you is that. So when you say you are that, how do a person start knowing that even from a simple statement like that? This is not possible if you are not having a laid down procedure with the Shastras I have given is, as I told in my explanation, there are three types of possible errors which can happen. One is that you don't understand at all, which is called ajnana. One is you can have a doubt on what is being told, because is it real or not real, or practical or not practical. So there are also methods to how to verify that yourself. And viparya is a knowledge which you can misunderstand. When you say that, even in the Shastra, they use that because yatra vak na gacchati, the words cannot reach that is what it is the Shastra itself is saying. Yado vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha is another aspect which is being told by the Shastras. So what happens in this is that even when making that statement, Shastra also gives a methodology, even though it cannot be contained within the word, how it is real and accessible. In the non-traditional methods, they may indicate towards this, but they do not know when a clarity when a counter question comes or when the methodology is asking, you the problem will be there how to explain it to somebody which cannot be explained is a basic question. So if at all you bring in within explanation, that will be within the realm of the words and you are not indicating the truth. You are indicating only what you thought is the reality. Because the reality is that this is beyond description. There is no guna for it. There is no measure for it. It cannot be seen with the sense organs. When a thing which is cannot be seen by the sense organs, nor accessible by the intellect, but only you can have the feeling or the experience of it in being it, that experience cannot be explained in any other method. The Shastras are taking the student from different students are considered at different level. That is why we have 10 Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita as a, in a Sampradaya following. Depending upon where you are starting your journey, you have a guide method on which you can study the Shastras. And the culmination of all the different levels of students ultimately will be the same. Whereas in the non-traditional method, they may say Shastras are not. Yes, if you know the truth, Shastras are not. I have mentioned in my profile that Vijnade pare tattve Shastradhyastu nishpalam. Na Vijnade pare tattve, then also the Shastra is nishpalam. If you don't want to know, you don't need Shastras. If you have already known, then also you don't need the books. But we are not talking about the people who do not want to know or those who have already known. We are talking about people like us who are wanting to know what is it. So for that is the importance of Sampradaya. Second aspect which you said is that na vittena mohena. This is what Nachiketa was tempted by Yamaha during the the answer to the third question when he asked. Imagine yourself being offered the kingdom of the whole earth, youth, life, never ending unless you want to end it. And all your sense organs do not diminish even if you are engaging it as much as you want. And for engaging that, you are being given all the essential requirements also. Any number of, gold, elephant, horses, cattle, dancers, musicians, and whatever way you want to think. Over and above, Yama gave his own, the multi-gemmed garland, which in some of the commentators talk about is that it is that garland which nobody ever in any of the Shastras have ever had, because that is what the beauty of Yama. It's only the death can wear such a garland in its own head. Even the Indra doesn't have that garland, as per one of the Puranas. So you can imagine the temptation which Yama had given to Nachiketa, but he was not waylaid or he was not wavering from his decision. So to have that infatuation to the wealth will you take you away from your goal, because the moment you have a vittam or a wealth, you have to do yogakshema. You have to acquire that. You have to also will have to maintain that. So not only acquiring that, maintaining it also both becomes difficult if you are not very vigilant. And you should be a sharp student to know that these are temptations which are coming on my way. That is the way in your one day. You need to know what is your destination. Nothing should distract you from that.
Arvindji, I wanted to ask about Shreyas and Preyas, one small question. Generally, if we want to enumerate, what are all will fall in the bucket of Shreyas and what will fall in the bucket of Preyas? And also, if we want to divide them Like generally there is a knowledge aspect and a kriya, karma aspect, right? Action aspect. So like where does this fall? Is there any action aspect in Shreyas or only jnana, or how can you elaborate on this Preyas and Shreyas buckets, how to classify?
It is explaining this in the further slokas which will come, but for as a thumb rule which we can understand is that what we are engaging ourselves in the world outside, external to me, external to the individual, is the prayas marga. Whether you want to maintain your body, whether you want to maintain your wealth, whether you want to maintain, acquire and aggrandize your property, and all, and one not only acquire it, you'll have to also maintain that. This is all the things other than, you know, all things in our day-to-day life comes under the category of prayers. Now, Shreyas is Abhyukamsha. That means the attitude with which I want to know the truth, with which I will be happy. Because what is moksha? Moksha is defined as Atyanta Dukkha Nivritti, Atishaya and Niradishaya Sukha Prapti. Atyanta Dukkha Nivritti. That means dukkha or the sorrow should end once and for all. And Niradishaya Sukha Prapti. I should be in that state of happiness where the happiness itself do not have ups and downs. Because ups and downs, if it happens, then I can be sorrowful if my happiness comes down. That is why when they say Niradishaya Sukha Prapti. So in this method, the Sukham and Dukkham is a matter of internal thing. It is not dependent upon the objects outside. The objects outside can only give you temporary happiness, and it is a deluded happiness of ignorance. When you are having the attachment or the interaction with an object of enjoyment, you are momentarily in a state of happiness because your mind is not in agitation, it is engrossed in the enjoyment. But that doesn't last long, because by this one is either the enjoyment sense organ diminishes in its utility value, or the object gets finished in that part of consumption, enjoyment. So then again you are left again to seek for further quantity or further situations. So external world will always give you a never permanent situation for have in that state of happiness. Only when you look inside you will be able to find. Now the glimpses are which is being told in this method is when in every day our own the happiness is when we didn't own anything, including our own name and body, and that I-ness or the individuality is the deep sleep. All of us were at most happiest at that spot. But the ignorant people will not think that that is the happiness. They want engagement in the world outside of the objects. They will think that unless I engage in the world of objects, it is not happiness. This is what is natural. Where is the happiness? I sleep every day. No, I don't need to take any effort. They think that taking effort only can bring happiness. But happiness has no such thing as it is attached to any object or anything. Happiness is our own real nature. So Shreyas is that marga where you are looking for the happiness which is within yourself. Prayas is that marga which you are looking for happiness externally, but with a delusion that external objects are the one which is going to give you happiness. But they are not permanent in nature. Therefore, you are permanently in a cycle of getting, losing, getting, losing, getting, losing, like that. So never you will find happiness permanently in the world outside. So Shreyas and Prayas, this way you have to understand.
There is also one term called Nisreyasam or something, right, which is used in the context of moksha. So is that a negation of Shreyas, or how to understand that? I heard like some term called Nisreyasam or something, like like used for moksha. So does it have anything to do with this context or something else?
Nishrayasam is a state where you are no more inquiring into yourself. It is no more a what you call when you reach your goal, you are in a state of or in the path of Shreyas. When you reach your goal where you have achieved your target, you are in a state of Nishrayasam.
Okay, thanks, Arvind.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
I think Srinivasji said Nispriha. So is that same as, if I heard correctly?
He said Nishrayasam.
Okay, sorry, then my mistake. I thought he said Nispriha.
No.
And one last thing, like here there is a reference about how people continuously keep coming back, right? Like if they don't catch the ultimate truth. So this somehow traditionally we can understand, because in the tradition there are lokas, and like you said, Shine Punye Matye Loke Visanti. But in the modern context, it's very difficult to understand, right? Because like for example, Charvakas are saying after death everything is over. Most of the modern understanding seems to be like that, because the lokas and all are like thought to be an imagination, and then very difficult to establish that post-death someone is coming back, right? So, did anyone, like in a modern way, can we establish that there is a rebirth or people keep coming back or something like that, Arvind?
See, we should understand the question of rebirth and Atma from a point of view as to what is the definition for rebirth and what is Atma's definition. First, let us look at what is rebirth. Birth is a creation of a matter, a material appearing name and form is called birth. The materials are already there. It is only an assemblage, and then they coming together to get a shape and name and form. Whether it's a human being or a mud pot or a gold ornament, it's all the same. Instruments of expression will vary depending upon the quality of the matter in which it is being made. Gold has got a different material because of which it is different. The mud is different, it is a tree is different, animal is different, human body is different because of the material of construction in that, which includes the mind and intellect and the sensory organs. After all of them are made from matter. So assemblage of matter, when the death happens, the matter goes back to the source from where it has come. Whether it water goes back to water, air goes back to air, fire, the physical body which is nourished by the elements from the earth goes back to the earth. That matter will go back to the earth. When a birth takes place, it is the same matter which is consumed by the parents or consumed by the animals, or consumed by the tree, which becomes the seed or the human body or an animal body or anything like that. In each of them, the quality of the material is different. Rocks and stone and sand and everything has constitution of what is the matter. Tree, you can see a movement of growth in them. Animals and human beings, you can see the movement and the expression of fear, hunger, etc., different things. But they're all expressions of the matter itself. Now, all these things are happening when you are assembling material together. Now, what is Atma then? The question can come. Atma is in that which all these things are happening. It is called Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma or Satchidananda Brahma or Satchidananda Atma Swarupa. What is that means? It cannot be named by Sat Chit Ananda. They are all the names indicating about different aspects in which it appears. Sat means existence. So we see the existence of a rock, we see the existence of a tree, we see the existence of an animal, we see the existence of the human being, we see the existence of the cosmos, the planets, the sun, the moon, the stars, etc. Everything has got existence, and that existence itself is giving us an awareness, which is because we have a mind which can know that. So the awareness which is given by the existence of a thing only is called the Chit, Satyam, Jnanam, or knowledge, or Chit in the case of Satchitananda. Both are indicating the same thing. So this aspect, because we are human beings, we are using that terminology, and only human beings is having that sharpness of the mind to the inquiry into the reality of the things. The mind has not developed in the case of an animal, plant, and in the case of earth and all, the mind itself is absent. That is why they don't show the emotions or the pain and pleasure, etc. But the matter is the same, whether it's an animal, human being, or a plant and a rock. There is no difference in it. So when the mind has a potency to know these things, we are able to differentiate between the existence seen, and the existence itself is expressing its own awareness of existence, and infinite is the nature in which it is appearing. So Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma, when it is told, is that there is that Brahma which is infinite in nature, because that is the way only we can express, because human mind can express, which is not fathomable as infinite. And human mind has to express it is because I know it, therefore it exists. So it is from the human mind point of view, we call it as existence, Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma. But it is indicatory or Lakshana Vritti, we will say that as a signs in which these are there. So how does it affect in the birth and rebirth? This is where the Gita, the second chapter, 16th sloka comes. Nasade vidyato bhava na bhavo vidyate sada. There can never be an existence of a thing which is never there. Nor can a thing which is existing can never be not being there. The name and form may go through changes, but the existence and awareness and the presence of that object will never go. And a new thing which is never existent before can become existent. It can be not in our knowledge. It is in the part of our non-aware, in a state of non-apprehension part of it. But it is even that we have to put it in a subset which is called I am ignorant about all those things which I do not know. That doesn't mean they do not exist. What is existing or what is not existing is still within my ignorance of the specifics of it. But if I to gather all of them into one subset and say that everything falls under my ignorance, and what is in my knowledge are the things which are known to me, it will vary from knowledge to knowledge, to person, depends upon the condition of the matter or the mind which the individual is having. Somebody like Albert Einstein has a different thing. Stephen Hawking may have different. And then, each one of it. Shankara may have different. Ramanuja had different. All of them will have different knowledge and thing, because that is the quality of the mind. But that doesn't change. The Atma is different in all of them. Atma is neither in nor out, not dividing it, not doing. Even by a matter coming up, appearing in awareness, do not bifurcate or differentiate or localize the Atma. So from rebirth point of view, if you look at it, it is the name and form which is coming up. No new existence is coming up. No, by the death, no existence is going to vanish from the earth. The existence as existence will still remain. It may be in a different forms. That's all.
Thanks, Arvindaji. You can go again.
Pranam Acharyaji. What I would like to ask is this material which we spoke of, this, which exists everywhere in a rock, in a tree, in a human being, in an animal. Is it this material which goes back? So, is there a limitation in this material? I mean, do we know anything? We can confirm that it's only that remaining. See, whatever has to go back because it has to come back. So, is there a limitation in what the material is?
No, there is no limitation because it's all name and form. Name and form is what is coming and what is going. The material per se are not going or coming anywhere. It is sarvagadam, so sushmam. It is everywhere. In that, the name and form appear. We call it as a matter. When the name and form do not exist, it doesn't mean that it is going anywhere. I'll give you a crude example. Assuming that there is a pond in your courtyard or in your village. This rain, it has got filled up. Every utility is happening. People are using it for whatever, maybe washing or swimming, whatever it is. And as summer comes, the water has gone, dried up, the pond has gone, and you can walk across the pond to the other side without getting wet. When the water came, we called it as a pond. When the water is not there, it is not a pond anymore. Now the pond with the water, which a fresh water comes in the next rain, comes back into life again for serving. Does that mean it is the same water which is coming back again into that? No. Water has no limitation for which you are asking that. So water went out, evaporated, fresh rain brought fresh water. So when the pond comes and pond goes, we call it a birth of a pond and the death of a pond. But the water which was, because of which we called it as a pond, has never been the same, or it can never be restricted or limited to that expression or the utility of that pond. Same is the case when we say for the akasha, space. If you build a house, inside that house, the space, you call it as a house or a school or a hospital or anything. The space by itself doesn't get divided or by anything. So tomorrow another building comes up, doesn't mean that the space has lost its unlimitedness and restricted to that house. It is the appearance inside the space which is happening. And here, the space is there inside, outside, and even the material with which that the bifurcation, apparent bifurcation is being seen by us, is also in space, using space, in existing in space. So space cannot go anywhere, space cannot come anywhere, it is always the red ring. The appearances of school, house, hospital can come up and it can go back to the earth. Even earth is in space. So where does that, these appearances, only name and forms are coming and going. And that is what we think as reality, then we are not knowing the reality of what is the absolute reality of existence. And that is where we feel that the birth and death, the body is coming and going. Only if you can shift your identification from the association with the body, you will know that what is your real nature. And then once you shift the locality, whether the body becomes old or the child, when you were a child also you were the same I-ness. You didn't have any, that I-ness has not become big or small when you became old or middle-aged, or even when you die. That I-ness doesn't die. The I-ness was never that of the body. It was beyond the body. It was expressing through the body. It's a different issue. like the school is expressing through that part of the building, or the pond is being expressed through that locality of the water which is available. Same way, the mind, when it reflects the awareness, the individuality comes up, but it is the reflection of the same universal awareness which is coming in the mind, which we become the individual, the entity or individuality. That individuality can come and go because that is a part of the matter with which the mind is reflecting it. But the source of the reflection, the light or the awareness, which we call it as in the Shastra, Suprakashata, the self-illumining nature of the awareness, can never be restricted to the one individual that is why when we say Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, it is that universality of things which we are talking about. So there is no limitation for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have one last question on rebirth, and I know that the whole theme of this Upanishad, more and more we'll touch on it in the next classes also, hoping to ask more questions then. But my last question now is, Arbindaji, if you say something like a Sukshma Sarira is or something will take rebirth, and when we classify it as matter and Atma, so since matter is already left here, so there is a middle layer called Adi Daivika, is it? Is that to be accepted in Advaita terms, or what is actually taking what is the element that goes and takes another form? Like I understand it's called Sukshma Sarira or something. So is that matter, or is that Sukshma Sarira is matter, or is it Atma only kind of thing?
May I add to this question? I think I had the similar question. This is
okay, please. You can ask that. I'll answer together then.
Thank you. What is the difference in nature of Atma and material?
Okay. Sushma Sharira and explanation of rebirth and everything which is given in the Shastras are to convince people who are so convinced that they are the body. It is said Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. In this Upanishad that word will come. It is subtler than the space. The space is also an appearance in that. So, can anything be Sushma than the space? So, Sushma Sharira, the moment you say Sharira, it is localized. It is the feeling of localization in the intellectual or buddhi mind complex, which we call it as Sushma Sharira. But that is part of the buddhi being that buddhi, it is also a matter. Now, is matter different from Atma? Matter is also not different from Atma because matter is an appearance in Atma. Appearance, when it is grossification is happening, we call it as matter. When it is not grossified, it is in the form of Atma. It is in the form of Atma. So when we call it as matter and Atma, it is expression and a state of non-expression. What is the difference between the two? For example, when the air is there still, you don't see that the air is there. But if the air is there, you are breathing. But the moment it becomes a cyclone or a tempest, the same air, when it brings with a force, we call it as a cyclone or a typhoon or, a thing which is reckoned with. Same way, the awareness, when it grossifies and feels like an appearance, it is not really becoming grossified. It is feeling of the mind, which is feeling that it is grossification is taking place. And this all is because we cannot know that subtlest with our grossified mind and intellect. So we will never be able to grasp it with our intellectual. Na tarkena madirapaneya. Neither by the reasoning nor by churning our mind, we will know what it is, because it is that with which knowledge takes place. So it cannot taste itself or it cannot know itself. For explanation of the phenomenon of what we are experiencing, the Sushma Sharira, the matter, everything is being explained separately. So that stage by stage, the student can be taken to the stage where he starts seeing or being in that reality. You see it as a wonder of wonder. What is that? It is my own nature. It is that beingness in which you are wonderstruck, and there the I doesn't exist anymore. Even the I dissolves.
Some people have experienced near-death experiences, which they describe as feeling very ethereal and sort of floating in space or something like that. Does it have any meaning, Acharya?
Every experience is for an experiencer who is a knower of these things. And here what we are talking about Atma is the knower of experiences or the perceiver in which everything happens. So even if it is a near-death experience, or even if somebody is taking a rebirth, able to reimagine or recount his experiences in his previous life, it is all still within the realm of the matter. And all these things are happening in awareness. So, but for us, it is all, such ethereal feelings or out of the world experiences. We give it such importance, forgetting where that things are happening. That is like we are seeing the effect of the scene on the screen, which we call it as a movie, forgetting it is the screen without which I would not have seen the movie. The movie may be either pleasant or a horrible or a horrific scene. We may get engrossed in the effect of the event in the screen, but we do not see the screen. Same way, it is the awareness in which all these outer body experience, all taking rebirth and recounting the past life, all these things can happen. Nothing is impossible, because in awareness all these things are what you call a child's game. But who do not know the truth, for him this is something hypnotic or out of the world experience. But all this can be explained from that point of view, is that it is in awareness all these things are happening. Anything can happen in awareness, because it's all human mind which is projecting all this.
Namaste, Aurobindo.
Namaste, Patrick.
Good
Namaste.
morning.
Morning.
You referred to there was a phrase when you were talking about the pond, and I missed it. You talked about the self-illuminating, I think you said substance, but I know that wouldn't be the meaning, but what was it when you talked about self-illuminating in reference to?
See, the pond, I said the pond, the water which is coming back into the pond to take the shape of a pond again, after having evaporated, after the summer is over, is not restricted to the same water. But because its appearance comes back again, we call it as a rebirth. So all this appearance and the reappearance of the pond coming back is it in the awareness of those who are observing the pond.
Okay. Is the reference to the pond, did you learn that from your guru? Is that a common metaphor, to describe Atman and rebirth and so on?
No.
That's a good one. Where did you learn it?
It comes to my mind. See, this is something which I have been observing myself, that
Okay, beautiful.
when I start explaining things, the similes or the examples come, I don't know from where they are coming to my mind. But
I do. That's the Akashic. Jataveda, Raj, Prasad, this is good. That was good material. I've never heard that before, and that was incredibly insightful. Easy to comprehend for my limited mind, but it cuts right through the truth of it all. It's beautiful. Great analogy metaphor. Thank you so much for sharing that. Those simple, language is so important. It helps cut through, the messiness of all our prior impressions about all of it. So I'm happy. Now, if you want, we could talk about the robot now, because what you said, maybe it's not appropriate, but I shared a video of probably the greatest robot that's been created yesterday with Arvind, and it's the animation of the facial expressions, the AI that's built into this now. It's getting so incredible, and my thoughts are that everything, all appearances in the waking state, in the phenomenal world, are powered by Atman. I know that you don't like that phrase, but Atman animates it all. It's the backdrop. It's the space in which all phenomenal objects reside, so to speak. And so in a way that even though the robot isn't part of our natural world, there's no biology, so to speak, it's an appearance in the waking state, in the physical world, and therefore is part of Brahman. There's a difference between, Prasad and the robot, Patrick and the robot, but in what way is the robot powered by Atman?
see, Patrick, Atman has no desire, no activity. It doesn't do anything. We are the one who creating all those things with our own intellect and our own imagination. It is just like, does space has to do anything with anything that is happening in the cosmos? It is just giving the substratum for everything to happen. It per se itself doesn't have any motivation or any desire to do anything. It just is. Without that, nothing will happen also. That is the beauty of it. And it is that awareness where everything becomes aware. And if awareness is not there, it can never happen that awareness is not there. But hypothetically, let us think that it's not there. Then what happens? You can't even imagine such a situation. Even that deep sleep of ours, where we know nothing, the awareness existed. The awareness of knowing nothing was there. That is the same thing when we trash this body. This mind goes with this body. Nothing happens to me or you or anyone for that matter. The reflection which was happening in a matter which is called the Patrick mind or Aurobind mind went back to the earth from where it came, and that pond of water will come get another reflection will take place somewhere else, which we call it as rebirth. But the light which was reflecting in that mind and the mind which died are the same. The reflection will change, that light will not change, the source will not change.
Can I ask Patrick about this robot and artificial intelligence which you mentioned, and what's the difference? And of course, it's very exciting and scary also at the same time. But can that robot reproduce itself?
No, it's not self-replicating. So there's huge differences.
Yeah, that's where
There's
we differ,
huge
I think,
differences.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
human
It's part
beings
of it.
and
Yeah, it's part of it. But my question is more.
perhaps yes.
Yeah, there's huge differences, but in the sense that it's an appearance in the waking state, it's no different I mean, the book that I'm looking at right now, and all of the objects, none of them are self-replicating, and so we don't necessarily, you know, give um, give legitimacy to only those things that are, can replicate. And so my question and point really is that as an object in appearance, the robot has equal status with all of the other objects in the phenomenal world. That's, I think, an important part of it. But it's, they're good questions all around.
I just want to add to this discussion that self-replicating robots are on their way.
But Santosh, it is the difference between a cloning and a new birth, new reproduction. Don't you think so? It will be like cloning, probably.
Even if it is cloning with the available new artificial intelligence that is coming, the clone need not be an exact copy of the parent. It can be an improvised version. So we are living in a different world. But again, by the time Patrick gets an answer for this robot question, I think it will change again a few more times. So just be on the watch out, Patrick.
Well, I couldn't hear you, but it might be just mine.
No, I just said, like, by the time we figure out this robot question, which is your favorite question, by the time we get an answer, it is going to change quite a few times, because the robot technology, artificial intelligence, all are changing so fast.
Arbenji, what is the difference between, the fundamental or the important difference between a biological appearance and the robot? It does all of the same things, let's pretend, the robot does that a human does. What is the difference fundamentally in your mind from an Advaita?
Well, Advaita never had robots for discussion those days. So what I'm talking is from my own assumptions, because I cannot call it as an Advaitic, but from what I've studied, I can imagine what will be or what can be an answer from Advaitic point of view. See, the difference between robotic and human being is, or biological, is difference between what is the rock which the human beings walk, and we can mold and shape anything which is available as a material. The robot can only do what human being instructs it to do. It doesn't have as of today, doesn't have a methodology to think beyond what is being fed into that. The data has to be there for it to access. Now, it can accumulate data by methodology of its own self-feeding systems which they have been developing. Some of them have developed that, whereby they giving cameras and sound measurement and things like that. It can increase its data bank, but at the end of the day, what happens is that there is a limit of its life unless its battery is replaced, or battery need to be. Just as a human being cannot live for long, the robot also cannot live long. So once that the life cycle of the battery is over, it needs a replacement. So looking from that point of view, both the biological human being and the robotic can come closer to that. But as it was saying that the self-reproduction today may not be seen in the robotics, but robotics are used in the plant and machinery for assemble things. So tomorrow robotics can be used for assembling another robotics. But at the same time, the data in the storage has to be fed by a human being, because robot will not know what data to be fed inside. That is where the difference lies.
The other, I think, fundamental difference is that the robot is not powered by prana.
Yeah, that's why I said it needs electricity or some sort of a prime mover.
But I mean, if you know how much I know, so I'm grasping at, but when we look at the table is not powered by prana, is it?
Prana is not definitely there in the table. Table doesn't have prana.
So all life, all biological life is powered by prana, and let's call it, I mean, I'm only using words to help, but the animation feature, that the power, the battery is in all biology is prana. In the robot, we have the illusion that it's that it's alive and powered, but it's not really. It's an artificial form. And this, I think, the key differences.
That's right. Sorry. That may be the difference. Yes.
Shobhan here. Recently, I read a news that the chatbots, right? The chatbots, I think it was from the company of Google. Two chatbots started talking to themselves in a totally different language unknown to human beings, it seems. And suddenly they started disconnecting those chatbots operation. So we don't know that they may themselves will be able to reproduce something which would be difficult for us.
If they start doing that, will it be like killing another life form? That will be another question to.
Arbindoji, I think if the questions are about the Upanishads, we will close the Upanishad session and then restart for the general discussion on spirituality. Is it okay?
You're recording it. Right. Okay. We can reassemble for the other questions because this recording we need to stop and we are saving it. So we will reassemble there immediately.